If she writes your name, you are cursed. Sister Death is a Netflix original from Spain and is a prequel to Veronica. Do 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 do. Veronica. Do 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 do. Veronica. Do 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 do. No, not the duo, the Veronicas. Boy, I really missed their music, but Veronica that came out in 2017 and was a movie that actually got touted as being so goddamn scary people couldn't finish it. I remember watching it and not really caring all that much for it, but nevertheless, I didn't really care for the 2014 Annabelle movie, and then Annabelle Creation, which was a prequel to, wait for it, Annabelle, ended up being very, very surprising. So let's check out Sister Death, Oh Your Time Has Come, and you know that you're not the only one for us. I think that's how the lyrics go. So, yes, it's set in Spain in 1939. It was written and directed by Paco Plaza, and also written by a man with the first name of Jorge and a last name that I couldn't pronounce if you offered me $5,000. That's not knocking him, but I struggle with some foreign names. So that's the most respect I'm going to say. So there's a young novice that arrives at a convent that is steeped in tragedy. It's being repaired after the war. What war? One of the wars. It's one of the many wars that took place in Spain. Obviously picking up the pieces. Picking up the pieces. And it's Sister Narcissa. I believe I said that right. I'm just going to say Sister N, which actually sounds like something that Hulk Hogan would say if he wanted to avoid saying the word that he actually wanted to say. Sister N, like Captain N, except without the belt Nintendo controller pad. Let's just get away from these obscure references that nobody goddamn remembers and focus on this. This convent, it turns out there's actually a tragic past. Not just with the war, but with something that happened. And Sister N has to solve this mystery before it turns out that everybody is history. Sister Death Tales, woohoo. Yeah, I'm just going to shoehorn that reference in every single review that I get the chance to. So, there are 3 chapters, and since this is a prequel to Veronica, you probably can guess where this is going. If you remember the movie Veronica. If you don't worry, you really didn't miss all that much. I might go back and rewatch it and actually review it and see maybe if I was just too harsh. But it came out 6 years ago, and I just remember not caring for it. But let's be positive. It turns out that Sister Anne was actually part of this beginning film where she was seen as a miracle child, and everything was all good and everything. Now she's going to be a teacher at this convent that's trying to rebuild itself. And then there's haunted imagery, chairs that fall over, well, one particular chair, noises in the dark, dancers in the dark. Wait, not Bjork or Bobcat. Sorry, that was Bjork. Basically, there's just haunted stuff. There's a little girl named Rosa, and it turns out she's got to peel back the layers and find out what actually happened here, because it seems like the good people are in danger, and maybe the people that she thinks are actually her friends maybe really aren't. So yeah, it's set at a particular religious location. There's, ghostly stuff and a tragic backstory, so it follows the same beats as most movies that are set in locations like this. I will say, as far as movies that I have seen set in a location or with this particular theme, this is definitely one of the better ones. I'm not going to say it's great. It does have a decent third act. It has a nice build. It's well shot. The acting's all right. The actress that plays Sister N, I really feel dirty saying that, but I don't want to screw up the name. She's fine. She's fine for what they give her. But after watching Deliver Us, which really wasn't all that great, and after watching Consecration, which was really goddamn awful despite having Jenna Malone, who was terrific, this ends up being decent enough and builds fine, but it also ends up having a very obvious twist, conclusion, whatever you want to call it. It ends up being decent enough, just above average, but not necessarily something where I was scared. I mean, again, cool atmospheric shots, and Paco Plaza obviously, has proven that he understands how to do subtlety in horror. It misfires a couple times, but it's all right. Let's see what else he can do in the future. I know he's done other projects. Check out his IMDb page for the full listing of his work. But yeah, 3 chapter breaks, some flashbacks and some stuff to the war, and we find out what pretty much was obvious from the very beginning, especially once we find out a particular thing about 20, 30 minutes in. And also, is it all in her head? Is she happy? Is she feeling bad? She got sunshine in a bag. She's staring at the eclipse, but not for long. And then her vision is going to be gone. Well, that was a bit of a spoiler right there, but let's get to the actual spoiler section. It's on Netflix if you want to check it out. If you haven't seen Veronica, you may want to watch that first and then watch this. Watch them back to back. Why not? What else do you have to do with your life besides watch horror movies? Wait, that's me. 3, 2, 1. It's on Netflix. Check it out. Spoilers. So, yeah, Sister Death. I mean, I don't know why they needed to do a prequel to Veronica. Again, didn't really care for it all that much. The black and white film from 1939 was kind of cool. Again, there are some good shots in this and some some good cinematography. Chapter 1, The Holy Girl. That is what Sister N is referred to as. She's referred to as a miracle child, but it turns out that there's some bad stuff in her particular life that also ties into what goes on here that makes her susceptible to all the stuff going on. There is a Sister S, Sakura, which really sounds like, Sekiro, which sounds like that video game. But that being said, she ended up dying, and her picture's been removed, and all these sisters are being very mysterious. The house mother is actually very, very, at least I think. I'm not Catholic. I obviously am not a Hispanic Catholic, so if I get any of this stuff wrong, I do apologize. I know, according to a couple friends of mine, that have studied up on this and come from a Hispanic background, that Catholicism is the predominant religion in Hispanic cultures. So I apologize. I do not mean to offend, however I feel about religion. Don't mean to offend by mispronouncing. There's a point where I said they were stewing over dinner because they were eating stew. Do you get it? Do you get it? It's that chunky soup from Spain. Oh no, they're eating people. The stew is people. It's actually not people. That would have been funny, but it wasn't people. I think it's what they did in Consecration. I don't know. I've watched a lot of movies this year. So yeah, objects move, stuff clatters all around. Sister N decides to investigate what happened to Sister S. Just going to shorten it because I really don't want to screw up these names. And there's the missing photograph. She tries to find out what the hell's going on. She's finding this hidden stuff. She's trying to find answers. There's this little girl, Rosa, that seems to have the answers, is able to see this ghost. This ghost may be good, may not be. Is this a little girl that's a ghost, or is it actually, Sister S? Why would there be a little girl there? Maybe it was somebody that she knew, somebody that she used to know, somebody that she used to know. Now she's somebody that she used to know. And chapter 2 is, if she writes your name, you are cursed. There were games of Hangman. You guess a word, and if you don't get it right, you get the stick figure, and then you lose the game. This is before you could do it on paper, so you just had to do it on the wall where everybody could see it all. Trying to have a little bit of fun here because there were times where this movie was at least somewhat intriguing, but also it kind of bored me. Also, heavy Catholicism, flogging the sin away. Oh, I see. It's okay when they do it to themselves, but when I offer to, I'm asked to leave the country. Nevertheless, there was a point where there was some self-filling bathtubs. The bathtub's going to tie in a little bit later. Halfway through the goddamn movie, Sister N is about to become a full-fledged sister, take her vows, but then the great unveiling where the veil is starting to choke her. I think the veil's thin enough you could breathe through it. I don't know much about veils necessarily. I've never worn one, but the material makes it look like you breathe through it. And the buttons are popping and all the stuff and everything. She gets it popping and she's not doing all that well. And Rosa is, Rosa for lying and everything and sinning is put in a holding cell in a basement, seemingly in another location. And also during an earlier confession part, she, Sister N is talking to one guy, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. And yeah, she's not doing all that well, Sister N, as it were. And then she talks to Rosa. Rosa says, no, this time it's not a girl, it's somebody else. She vanishes. So seemingly Rosa might have actually been an incarnation of the dead girl. In fact, I think that's probably where we're going with. Except the other people can see her, so maybe not. Some of the stuff gets a little bit confusing. If you clear up some of the stuff, if you were involved in the production, please tell me. And obviously there's, something bad happened. So what happened badly? she stares up at this eclipse because why not? Why the hell wouldn't you stare up at the goddamn eclipse that's happening? Because Sister N's freaking out, and she ends up, seeing all this stuff with the war and everything. It's for some reason this all is going on. Sister S. Sakura is the final chapter. There's only 3 chapters in this, and so yeah, her vision's kind of mostly gone, except kind of not. She can see clearly now that the ghosts are gone, except that they're going to populate and destroy along the way. And there is something going on at the strange convent, but except her vision is now being taken away. And Sister S got assaulted and became pregnant by a guy. That's the word I'm going to use right there. I'm not going to use the actual word. 1, don't want to be flagged. 2, don't want to use that word. Don't use the word in the comments. And she became pregnant. The child developed a fever. The other sisters tried to take care of the child, ended up accidentally killing her in a bathtub while trying to get rid of her fever. And then Sister S hung herself in protest and out of depression and also just, So then Sister N says, fine, I'll let you out. She lets her out, and basically Sister S finally is let out of this room that apparently housed her ghost, and apparently the door was just made of magical material and she couldn't leave. And then she kills all the sisters that were involved. Drowns the mother in the bathtub, the house mother, I believe. And then one is flogged and destroyed. Some decent body horror effects. And then we go to Veronica, where Sister N is now a teacher. And that's where this thing's carried goddamn forward. Okay. I'm pretty certain there's symbolic stuff that I missed in this just because I'm not steeped in Catholicism culture, but this movie is alright. It gets a C+ for the positives, but it's not something you need to go out of your way to see. But I'm not saying don't watch it, especially if you like Veronica, you might like this. It was certainly better than Veronica, but that's not saying much, at least to me. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.